faith stories,
My now wife Chelsea was like, "Hey, you're coming to church with me on Sunday," and I was like, "All right, I've been looking at the Bible. Let's do this."
fishing memories.
When I first started, I was just fish, focus on the fish. And I see the kid catch a fish, I'm like, good job, perfect, awesome. And then he goes up there and I'm like, we're catching slot snook. And this kid's up here going, oh, the breeze. I'm like, this is exactly what it's about.
Meaningful conversations.
You have to stay in the Word. You have to have a good support system. You have to know what the end goal is. You have to know who God is.
Positivity. This is the Faith and Fishing Podcast. Your hosts, Cam Steele.
If your identity is you're an angler, whenever you're not doing well in the water, that's whenever you can't be content.
And Robert Randolph.
And his timing is perfect. We might not always agree with it, and we might not always understand it at the moment.
Bring you interviews with some amazing guests from the fishing community and discuss all things to do with fishing and their faith. Welcome to the family.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Faith and Fishing Podcast. I'm Cam.
Hey, and I'm Robert.
And we have a really awesome episode for you this week. But first, Robert, how are you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. Just getting through this last week of school baseball, school softball. We have one more game apiece to go. They both play on Friday, and then that's done. We'll have some travel baseball and basketball coming up, but that does free up my weeknights. And it has been good season to watch them play, but looking forward to having some afternoons back to do some other things. Maybe I'll be able to actually fish every once in a while if I can get this new roll down at work. That's still kind of doing double duty there until this changeover happens, and probably have about another month of that. So that's interesting.
I hear you. Yeah,
How about you?
I am looking forward to this weekend, even though it's going to be raining. I think I have carved out a little bit of time to do some fishing. So knock on some wood here. But yeah, that may end up being the last kind of extended fishing trip before baby number 2 comes. So probably got 1 or 2 more episodes after this one in me for the before that, before I have to take a break for that. So Robert is prepared, and I am excited to have him on board to be able to keep that going during that, so that I can not have to focus on it. So
We're going to keep it going. It might be off the rails, but we're going to move forward. Rails or no rails.
there you go. Absolutely. So real quick, I feel like so in terms of announcements, the only thing I really have is so unless something unforeseen happens, the live show will have already passed, but you can go back and listen to the podcast. Robert and I are going to be on Bass Kayak and Beers with our good friend and multiple time guest of the show, Armando. So make sure that if you were not a part of the live, go check us out on that podcast and see what ends up coming of that. I'm not sure what Armando has in mind. So, but yeah, Robert, you got anything else before in terms of like announcements or anything?
No, man, roll with it.
These intros have been really short lately, and I'm kind of about it. So
I'm with you.
all right. Only other thing I'll add is the room that I am in is very, very warm. So if you're watching on YouTube and whenever I start laughing and I turn like beet red, it's just the heat has a lot to do with it. So, but yeah. So let's go ahead. Let's thank Get Outdoors really quick, and then we will jump into the episode.
Get Outdoors Pedal and Paddle is one of the largest canoe, kayak, and cycling retailers in the Southeast, with a huge selection of kayaks, canoes, bikes, and all the accessories needed to experience paddling and cycling comfortably and safely. Get Outdoors helps to expand and educate the paddling community through their free demos held on local lakes in the Greensboro, North Carolina area, and through in-store clinics and on the water courses and demos. And we'll even get your new boat rigged up for kayak fishing for you. Stop by the shop in Greensboro, North Carolina, or visit them online at shopgetoutdoors.com to be wowed by their selection.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and apologize real quick. The neighbor dog is going off right now, so that means that our dogs are going to follow pretty soon. So if you end up hearing that, it is what it is. We've got a beagle and a spaniel. They're loud. So this week we have a guy he's a tournament kayak angler. He's been traveling a lot doing that from if I'm remembering correctly, from West Virginia. And this is one of the guys that I met last year whenever I went to Dale Hollow for that paddle and fin event. He stayed on the same boat I did, and we kind of went through the first couple of days. We exchanged pleasantries and stuff, but didn't really talk until day one of the tournament on the water. I was kind of in some shallow water, trying to find water that I like, and I had watched these guys put in a little John boat that I don't know. It looked like somebody's driveway that got flooded out. Like, I don't know if it was a private launch or what, but they launched, and I heard this like huge commotion in the brush and the sticks and everything, and I'm like, oh man, these guys they backed their truck into the lake. What's going on? And I look over there and I see the bushes moving and everything, and then out comes Michael, and his big native, and his Torpedo is just chopping through that stuff like it's a chainsaw. But so that was kind of my introduction to how this guy likes to fish. But yeah, this is Michael, and I did not ask before the show whether it was Ridenour or Ridenour, so he's going to let us know right now.
It's Ridenour.
All right. So Michael, man, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Cam. It's good to see you again, buddy.
Absolutely, man. So to get us started off, go ahead and let us know who Michael Ridenour is.
So a little bit about me. I'm from Fairmont, West Virginia. This is my 4th year tournament fishing. I run an oil and gas rental company. And aside from that, whatever free time I have, my wife and I, we have 4 children from 20 to 14, 2 16-year-olds, boy and a girl. They're our handful children. And it's just living our best life. And really, I started off in this. I did a year of the KBF Challenge Series, just trying to get into this. I have a cousin in this as a national champion in the KBF back in 2016, Matt Ball. And his mom and dad and brother still go to church with me, and they did some of the kayak tournaments locally with Matt, and it intrigued me. And I'd watched him, and I'd watched it for a long time and done research for a long time. I was like, I want to try this out. So reached out to Matt and picked his brain a little bit, and he kind of pointed toward the KBF Challenge Series, just get my feet wet and see how I fare in that before I just jump in. It was a humbling experience, and talking with some friends now, looking back, in just a short time, this is my 4th season, like what I've learned in the last 3 years is just, I thought that I was sorry, my dog's back here chowing down. I thought I was a good tournament or a good angler until, you go up against other guys that are good anglers, and it's a very humbling experience, but kept an open mind, and I've got a great support group of people, my pro shop that stood behind me from day one, and just family and my wife and my kids. And and she's my biggest fan, and my support group is just unreal. So that made it all possible. And I was the VP for a big energy company at that time, and they stood behind me, and they thought it was unique that I wanted to chase my dreams as being a pro fisherman, and found some local clubs. The following year, West Virginia Kayak Anglers joined them. Fished a few events with them when work allowed, and still was doing the monthly onlines. And the Dale Hollow event the following year kind of kicked off that was like my first travel event. But I use kayaks, like you said, for what kayaks are for. And I try to find areas that little pocket back there held some giants. And I'm fairly certain nobody had ever fished that. No boat, not many kayakers probably, if any. But I was catching them coming out of that all week. So I was like, I got to find a way back in there. And yeah, I just let the torpedo eat. And I shared that back there. I was back there next to a tree that had a pretty good sized copperhead that lived on it. I've seen him 2 days in a row. He didn't bother me. I didn't bother him. And we just respected each other's space. But yeah, it was full of giants. So
I will say it is refreshing to have a motor kayak angler still be using the kayak for what it's for. I enjoy that. I'm a bit of a paddle purist, but if you're going to use a motor, at least still get the bottom of your kayak scratched up.
I will use that motor and a push pole or my paddle. I tell you what, the bending branches paddle are as tough as they come. I don't know how it's even still together, but I mean, you've seen what I go through, and that's kind of how I fish. If I can, everywhere I go, I try to find the pockets that just aren't pressured. It's a little off the beaten path. It may take a little work to get through, but obviously we couldn't leave our boats, and I didn't. But it's a plastic boat, yes, but they're adorable. It's nothing a little welding rod won't fix. And
how many prop blades do you go through a year?
I'm still on the original prop.
Nice.
I've had that for 3 years, and it's still the original prop.
It gets not a commercial for Torpedo. I don't know what it is.
It gets a little bit of a file once in a while, a little bit of light sanding on the edges just to try to take some of the nicks, and that thing's tough as nails, man. It's got the rock guard. Trey got a hold of him pretty quick for Innovative Sportsman, got his rock guard on it, and I put, Jeff Little was like, the thing's tough. You can beat on it a little bit. So I took that to heart, and I do.
Heck yeah.
So it's good. It's good. But this year I decided, I'd done the challenge series and taken the West Virginia state title the last 2 years in the KBF challenge series. And I decided I'm still going to do those, but my focus is not on that. I did one Bassmaster event last fall up at the Susquehanna River, and I kind of fell in love with that whole setup, everything about it. Just the people, the camaraderie. It was very well organized, very well run, and we have a lot of hammers here in West Virginia that they hit that trail. And I told my wife, I said, I'm just going to go out. I'm going to give 1 year of just not really focusing on any other tournaments, and we'll kind of let somebody else kind of step into those. And I'm just going to give Bassmaster my everything for this 1 year. And 1 year definitely doesn't necessarily make or break you, but I just wanted to see where I stand and how I stack up. And is this something that really is feasible going forward, or are we just wasting money that we could be putting elsewhere? But I'm sitting ninth after 2 events in Bassmaster AOI, and figured them out at Murray. Lost, had a great day 1. Figured them out day 2, but just kept shaking them off. and that happens. Possum Kingdom, obviously just a 1 day, cash the check there. So consistency is at least helping me, and I feel good. Gunnersville's coming in 2 weeks for Bassmaster. I have fished that several times with the KBF. I know that, have a few spots there that I really like, and I can go check them out, and then back to Susquehanna after that for Bassmaster, and then Caddo in the fall. And I've been out there as well, so I'm confident. Yeah, I at least know the areas where we're going to be going, and I'm confident I can catch the fish there. Now, whether it's the right fish, that's who knows. But again, my support system and me and the man upstairs got a pretty good thing going here this year, so he's definitely giving me a push, and you know, we talked before we come on a little bit and about my faith and my openness, and anybody that is able to do this like I am, to travel and to have the life of the days on the water that I've put in over the last 4 years, even to being a VP of a company and now running one, it's nothing short of blessings. It's nothing short of God and his works, and I'm very open about that, and it's not for everybody, and I'm not going to push it on anybody, but I will try to talk with anybody to just try to reason to really look at the things that happen in their life and understand. I've had some very bad decisions younger days of my life. Grew up in church, so was president of my youth group through high school, and went to the service right out of high school and kind of lost my way. And the devil took a good stronghold there for about 8 years, and just alcohol and partying. And my grandmother always said, you know, everybody was on me pretty good in the family, and people that cared for me, you know, they didn't want to see me just throwing my life away. My grandmother would always be like, he's going to be all right. He's going to be all right. He's going to find his way back to church. And I did. And it's amazing how quickly life turns around. Just when you really start giving it back to God and asking for his help, and accepting your failures. So yeah, I'm open about it. I'm truly blessed in so many ways and so many aspects of my life, with my family and my business, and to be able to I spent over 200 days last year on the water. So wow. It's a rough life.
There's a lot to unpack there, but I'm going to start, and I'm going to go off the rails a little bit, like I talked about earlier. So, number one, did you grow up in Fairmont? Is that where you're originally from, or you moved there?
A little town just like 8 miles from here. My parents still live 10 minutes down the road.
All right, because my neighbor's from Fairmont, so I was like, because we had talked before, and you said, yeah, it's close to Morgantown, and then you said Fairmont when we started. I'm like, oh, well, John's from Fairmont, but I don't know. That's just funny how small the world is sometimes.
Yes.
But second, you said your company is gas and oil rental. So
yes.
what I don't know what the gas and oil rental. So it's
Eastern Rental Company. We rent rig mats to frack and drill rigs, and we're trying to branch into the transmission distribution, the pipeline and electrical distribution side of the industry, just because oil and gas is too hit or miss. It surges, hits up and down, and I've been in oil and gas for over 20 years, and it's just
so I do the reason I asked that, I do logistics for a re-refinery. So we re-refine used motor oil. So I do logistics for them, rail and truck, and you know, we're dealing with kind of the same thing. I just wondered but I get what niche you're in there too. That's a good deal. And then the last one, we'll go back to fishing. So at Lake Murray, were you clear water, dirty water, deep, shallow?
So I was clear water. I didn't pre-fish clear water at all. I actually picked a spot tournament day that I hadn't even pre-fished at all. But I went and looked at the day before, and it had a bunch of docks on it. And I found a few fish docks in the dirtier water, but it was just a grind with them. And I was catching everything in about 12 feet, and it was a shaky head. I'll keep the color to my
I'm with you.
But, it was a shaky head, and yeah, it did work. I caught a bunch of fish and I lost a bunch of fish, and the lost fish really hurt me. But at the same time, I made a switch on some hooks this year to try. My pro shop started carrying some other stuff, and I try to help them out. And then after I lost a bunch of fish in Possum Kingdom pre-fishing, my roommate, I come home and I told him, I was like, I'm done. I threw them all in the trash. I was like, we're going shopping. I got to get some new hooks. And yeah, and I'm glad I did, because I caught that 24-inch giant Possum Kingdom, and I'm glad she had a good hook in her. But it was good. It's Murray was definitely shaky head, and Possum Kingdom was. I was watching people catch fish all morning. I caught a 13.5-inch bass at like 8:30, and I didn't catch another fish till noon. It was actually like 12:40, I think, when I caught that 24-inch fish. And watching people catch fish all day, and I was where I launched was Eric Siddiqui and Mark Edwards, and I was like, well, I'm in the right place. If these guys are here, I'm in the right place. So, but they were catching them and I wasn't. And it was weird. Like after I caught her, I literally went back to a pocket. I caught her out on the main lake point. I left this pocket out where everybody was catching them on beds, and I was like, I'm just going to go out off this main lake point and just get away from everybody. Really, nobody was out there. The wind was kicking. There was waves and chop, and there was a little boulder line along that. And I looked down, and I couldn't tell if it was a carp or just a giant bass, but it didn't swim quite like a carp. And I was like, I think that's a bass deep on a bed. And threw a big glide out a few times and finally got a good follow, and it was a good fish. And I was like, okay. And started pitching some finesse back up in there, and just the wind was taking me, and I circled that bed with that torpedo in that boat like, I know, 8 times. Just it was too deep for my shallow water anchor, and I didn't want to drop a ball anchor. So I just kept going around and pitching, and like I've seen the perfect pitch. Like it finally was falling like right where it needed to, and the wind had stopped just enough I could kind of watch, and that fish swim off to the right, and I'm watching him, and I'm like, maybe he'll turn around and come back, and he didn't, and I'm just sitting there. And when I look back, my line was going to the left, and this giant fish, I mean, it was probably 23 inches as well, was sitting over here to the right. My line's going to the left, and I reeled down and set the hook, and it was just drag, just lots and lots of drag just going. I was like, oh, I don't know what this is, and when she jumped, I was like, oh my gosh, that was my first double digit.
Fish that big can't jump, though. Fish that big can't jump. They kind of lurch out of the water, and
it was more of a. She didn't actually come out.
She tried to jump.
But there was a gentleman not far from me on a Hobie. He was like, "Oh, that's a good one. Don't lose it. Don't lose it." And I'm like, "You're not helping. You're not helping."
Yeah. I'm trying not to lose it, but
got her in the net. Took both hands to get her in the boat. And I was just. I mean, even if it's a 16-inch fish, I'm still that guy that's like, woo, out on the water. You hear me. Everybody knows when I catch a fish. There's no secret about it. I still get excited, and I hope I never lose that. But that was extra special, and he brought scales over, and we got pictures. And after that, I kind of had a newfound confidence, and gave a quick prayer to God, like, okay. I was patient. You come through. Let's do this. And went back up and put a good limit together after that within the last hour of the tournament. And it was enough for a 12th place finish and cashing a check.
That's all.
So you said you brought the scales out. What did you weigh?
10.8,
Damn.
19 and an eighth girth.
I was going to
Wow.
say 24-inch 10.8 is a big around.
Yeah,
Because that,
19 and an eighth girth.
yeah, I think my biggest
Pretty
one was
strong.
23 and 3/4, and it was either 9.1 or 9.1 ounce, so whichever. That scale was said 9.1. I can't remember if it was 9.1 or not. It's the same difference, but
Yeah.
that was almost as long as that, and you had another pound, 1.7 pounds. That's crazy. And that fish that I caught was huge around.
If you look at my Facebook, I mean, it's stupid. She had a big old belly on her, and she hadn't dropped yet. And even if she dropped, I mean, it was still been the biggest fish of my life. And
Was this the first double digit for you?
yes, 8.9 was the best before that at Gunnersville, and it was a 23 and 3/4. Like you said, it was almost that
Same.
long, but it was only 8.9. So, but it was considerably. It just wasn't built the same as that fish in Texas. It was completely built different. So,
Hopefully that's
I'm
those
still.
F1s they will get that way here because they put some in, and we're going to see how they do. Now they're probably not going to be managed as well as those Texas bass are, but there's already some big ones here, and get some of that F1 strain mixed
we
in
had
with
a
what's
guy
here. It's crazy.
from West Virginia, Phil Bacchus, caught an 11.4, I think, 25 and a half, 25 and 3/4 while we were out there too. There was some big fish caught. So
So I didn't keep up with it on this tournament, but for Murray, I fished Murray, but for Murray, you guys had like 18 or 19 people from West Virginia. How many went to Texas? Do you know, from West Virginia
uh,
or roundabout?
so it was me, Anthony Fitzgerald, Mark Edwards, Phil Bacchus, Buddy Vance, Tim Isaacs, Jason Isaacs, 7 of us.
7. Still, that's a long ways.
Yeah.
That's a long drive. You guys traveled to Murray in large numbers, so that was good.
I think everybody here was just glad that there was a tournament open to where we could get out of the house. It was still really cold here. And we were trying to head south somewhere and just get on the water.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I was doing the map updates for Steve, and I sent him the first one, and I'm like, West Virginia's whipping everybody. And so when he started posting those on Facebook, I think you guys really put some pressure on some other areas because everybody was like, God, look at West Virginia. They got that whole state's filled up with red dots. So it was pretty cool to watch how that all transpired. And
yeah,
it was fun to watch the rest of them and see the attendance and stuff. I think Susquehanna is going to be really good.
It'll be another good showing from West Virginia. I mean, it's in our back door, so
yeah,
it'll be good.
Yeah, and I know at Dale Hollow y'all represent well also, and I mean a lot of that has to do with John Rapp, but
Oh yeah, yeah. I took big fish day one. There it was just a 20. 6 minutes. There was another gentleman that caught a 20 as well. And that's the only thing that got me. It was fourth cast, and I found her day before she come out chasing the swim jig, and I ripped it away from her. I was like, I'll be back for you tomorrow. And she was still there, same bush, fourth cast with spinner bait, and I watched her come up and eat. And I was like, okay. And yeah, I caught a bunch of fish after that, but they were just small, and just it was not the same quality of fish. I think we hit it about maybe 2 weeks late this year compared to what it was when we were there. Because I know that back pocket, I went back in there again this year. And the water was up, so I was actually a little easier getting in there this year. But I caught one fish, and that was 16 and a half, and fished it pretty hard pre-fishing. That was it. There was nothing they'd done left, and there was a lot of fry in there that was minnows almost by that time, and we were late. So
Yeah. Were you catching largemouth or smallmouth?
Largemouth. I've caught some good smallmouth in there. I only caught 2 this year, and they were both under 10 inches. But the greenfish is what I target there because they're just. I think the smallmouth is not overrated by any means there because they are healthy, but I think the largemouth fishing there is underrated, and there's a lot of 20+ inch fish in there, a lot.
I went to college in Cookeville, so I fished that lake in Cordell Hole. That's right down from that too. There's good fish in both of those, and both are probably 2 of the most beautiful lakes that you'll ever find. There's
watching the otters, and had a giant beaver seem to be following me around a little bit this year, and he liked to splash just enough to scare everything away right when it seemed like I needed it the most. But yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful place. So
Absolutely. Yeah, man. So it's I'm looking at the clock and I'm like we're doing okay, and then I realize, we had like what, a 5-minute intro. It's like, wow, you've been talking a lot.
that's what we like.
Absolutely, that is not a complaint at all. I'm having to remind myself that we're the clock is a little deceiving this time. But yeah, so there are a couple questions that we ask every guest that comes on the show, and you were no exception. So I want to hit you with, what fishing story or memory means the most to you?
what fishing story means the most to me? Oh man, that's tough. I spent a lot of time growing up. My grandparents docked their boat on Tigert Lake here in West Virginia. It's a very well-known smallmouth fishery, and it's another place that's underrated for largemouth. And they had a pontoon boat to take clothes in, and we would camp up there for days at a time. And she would have to call me off the dock because I'd be out trying to catch catfish or bass at night. And then, morning comes and I'm not trying to go to bed because then you got to go swimming. And it's so countless hours. My grandfather and I, we would get off the docks and we'd walk back coves around that marina, or even take the boat up the lake and get off on shore and walk around just throwing rooster tails for largemouth and smallmouth. And he really taught me to count down my lures and to just different little techniques. And my dad, he took me creek fishing, we would hit creeks and chase smallmouth. But I don't know, there's so much family time. My wife goes with me and she kayaks, and my kids, I've got to watch them both catch over 20-inch personal best bass at a very young age. I didn't catch my first 20-inch fish till bass wise until, I don't know, 2.5 years ago. So they're getting a little bit more of a young start, and I'm trying to educate them and what I've learned along the way, and still have a lot to learn. But it's I don't know what that favorite memory would be. There's so many.
That's a good answer.
Absolutely.
So when you're out on the water and you're fishing with people, what are you usually conversating about? What's your conversation like?
I think that varies as well too. Cam can probably attest. I'm a pretty open guy, but at the same time, I'm very compassionate and passionate about the things that I believe in as well. And I don't try to ever judge, and I try to listen a lot. And a lot of conversation sometimes with me is me listening, just really trying to find the ways to either let them work it out themselves, or and it may just be as simple as the weather for that day, but very rarely does it ever stay that for long. And most of the people I fish with, I have a close relationship with or have developed a close relationship with. So I don't know. We talk about everything from work to family to kids to struggles and to our path with God and the path that we walk every day and what that looks like for us in the future as well. And it's interesting to never try to really guess what he has in store, because I gave up on that a long time ago. Every time I think I've got his plan figured out, he throws me a curveball. So I just let him take the wheel now, and I don't even, wherever we're going.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can attest that Michael is someone who he genuinely wants to see you do well on the water. Like, even in a tournament setting, he wants to see your name underneath his, but he wants to see you do well.
Oh, yes. There was some guys that struggled at Dale Hollow. A couple was going to come back last year early, and they were like, we're just not catching them, and you're out here hammering them. And I told them, I said, tomorrow you're going with me, and it's tournament. I don't care. You're going with me. Let's get some fish on the board, because it's no fun to have success if you can't share it with the people you care about, or even, and some of these people I just met there, but there's a bond I think that I have with fellow fishermen and people that kind of have the same walk in life, and I am very passionate about helping them succeed. So
Yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, I have been trying over the past few years to get better at kind of building those relationships on the water and wanting to fish with people and all that stuff, and not be as much of a loner and stuff. And that's one of the reasons that I started volunteering as chaplain for our tournament trail, is because whenever I'm out on the water and I see somebody, like, I'm the chaplain. I need to go over and introduce myself and say, hey, how are you? How everything's going and everything. And it pushes me to build those relationships. And so, yeah, it always makes me a little bit jealous when I see guys like you, that it seems to just come so easy, but
gift of gab. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, but it has its perks, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I've said it before on the podcast. My dad used to introduce me to people, say, this is my son Cameron. He doesn't talk to people. So
I don't think my dad ever said that.
So yeah, it's definitely not my comfort zone to be the one that going out and making the first move, talking to people and everything, but I'm getting better at it.
Yeah, you was like you said earlier, we pass and hi and how are you, but as the week progressed, there definitely opened up a little more, and I think everybody kind of has that initial shock, but no, it was a pleasure to hang out with you and share the boat with you, and I was sorry you couldn't make it this year. So,
well, it was because of a good reason, so I'm not complaining about that at all. But yeah, so let's go ahead. So with every guest, we always do a segment called "What's Your Favorite," where we ask you your favorite in a few different categories. So if you feel like you are ready for it, awesome. If not, ready or not, here we come.
Okay.
It's time for What's Your Favorite, powered by Naqua Adventure Gear. Power that fits in the palm of your hand.
All right. Robert, you want to switch up the order this time and you go first?
Yep, sounds good. So first off is what's your favorite scripture?
Favorite scripture. Man, that's a little bit of a tough one too. Every year I put a different one on my jersey, and each year I think that they all touch a little differently. I don't know. Let me think about that one for a second. What's the next question?
Well, you kind of led me into one there. I was going to ask, what is the one that's on your jersey right now?
Proverbs. Man, yeah, it's too quick. It's lead he who will follow to God, and he will handle all. I'll have to look. I can't even think of exactly which scripture it is, but
Well, you remember the important part.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll come back to that one. So what is your favorite story from the Bible?
My favorite's David and Goliath.
Heck yeah.
I mean, it's a classic, but I think that it relates to all of us in life and just how small we are in the grand scheme of things, and just what we're capable of with just the willpower and God backing us, and having that much faith in God to follow Him, and anything's possible.
Heck yeah.
So the next one is your favorite fish to catch. So after you've hooked the fish, your favorite fish after you've hooked them to get into the boat, the fight. What's your favorite one?
Muskie.
There
I
you go.
chase muskie on the fly.
On the fly.
In the off season, I do a lot of fly fishing, steelhead trout, but muskie on the fly is probably my all-time favorite.
That is awesome. I don't know if we've had muskie yet.
I don't think so.
That's awesome. I'll be honest with you. I've never heard of anybody targeting muskie on the fly. So I'm wondering, like,
it's like a freshwater tarpon fight on the fly, if you can imagine. So,
well, it's like a freshwater tarpon with razor blades in its mouth.
Right.
So how in the world do you land that thing without losing it?
The right equipment helps, but it's a lot of trial and error, and it's a lot of bloody thumbs, and you figure it out. But
cool.
You literally put your blood, sweat, and tears into that one.
So on conventional gear, muskie is known as the fish of 10,000 casts. How many casts does it take on a fly rod?
So, and it's funny because when I caught my first one, I actually did a post. It only took 9,989 or something. But after, with a lot of research and figuring them out and really fishing the moon phase, like, really, if you pay attention to that and you only just want to catch a couple muskie during the moon phase and you just fish during those times, I mean, you can catch one on the first cast, third cast. Like, it doesn't take very long. So, and I fish by that now. We have some local creeks and rivers that are pretty close that I can throw the fly rod in the truck and grab my waders and just jump in the creek and toss that out a few times. I've got some pretty good targets in that creek, and you can cast clear across it, but they come to life, and it's on. It's just me and him and God in that creek, and yeah.
Don't get much better than that.
No. So if you see Michael with his Walmart watch that shows the moon phase,
oh yeah,
season.
Oh yeah, I have that on my smartwatch and my phone, and I look at it. I actually look at a muskie app I have. It's Booker 360. It's a muskie moon phase app, and it gives the top feeding times. And I've found that it's almost spot on with bass too. So
okay, heck yeah. All right, so what is your favorite fish to fish for?
Smallmouth.
What is it about smallmouth that is?
They're crazy. Like a largemouth just pulls, but a smallmouth, they might dog for a little bit, and they might do some flips and you just never know, and they just don't give up. I mean, you can wear a largemouth out, it seems like, and kind of you horse them a little bit, get them into the net, and you can try that with the smallmouth. But every time he sees that boat, he's just going to go crazy, and trying to keep up with him in net and the water is just completely different, especially from a kayak. So I don't know. I admire their will to live, I think, and they're just a blast, and I feel like they're easier to catch. So my kids, that's what they like to target as well. And you go out there and throw a Ned rig or a Senka wacky rigged and just put 50, 60 little ones in the boat with a few good ones in a day. And for kids, even as teenagers, they're all about numbers. You know what I mean? They do not want to sit there very long bored. So then the phones start coming out of their pockets, and
that's all they're with them.
Yeah, I see them floating. I'm like, well, that's a wrap. But no, I love smallmouth.
Yeah. So what about your favorite fish to eat?
Salmon.
Okay.
I like salmon. I eat all kinds of fish. I love seafood, but yeah, well, salmon or steelhead, something along that salmon family, I think is really good.
So whenever it comes to salmon, how do you like it cooked?
Blackened. I'll eat it all kinds of ways, but I like blackened and peppered, and anything on a grill is always good. So I'm not much for fried, or we don't deep fry really much, or I don't deep fry much fish. I would rather have it baked or grilled.
How do you feel about a salmon raw?
Oh, I'll eat it raw.
That's if I'm going to eat salmon, I want it raw.
Yeah,
sure.
I like it raw. I'll definitely eat it raw.
Heck yeah.
There's a good me bar right down the road here, and we frequent that quite a bit.
Absolutely. All right, so now that I'm hungry, what's your favorite fishing snack?
My favorite fishing snack while I'm on the boat?
Yeah.
That's easy. There's only two. Combos and Twizzlers, man.
That's an odd combination right there. Combos and Twizzlers.
So the Twizzlers is kind of like all day, just kind of munch and whatever. And then if I really get like, okay, I've got to eat something, I'll break out some combos, because I mean, obviously I have a goal every day to do at least 1,000 casts, I think, and I don't really like to eat a whole lot on the water. I drink a lot of water, and my wife, I pray she doesn't beat me every time I get off, and she's like, these are still unopened. You didn't eat anything today.
Too busy fishing.
Yeah.
So so I have to ask, what flavor combos?
I mean, they're all good, right? Probably pizzeria.
Right. That's the only kind I've ever had. And I feel like that's the general consensus, is that's the good one.
That's easiest.
I'm not a pretzel person, so like they're not like my big thing anyway. But
sorry, that's coming from a guy that doesn't like Chick-fil-A, so we already know he's out of left field anyway.
So update.
Oh, update. Here we go.
I talked to one of the guys on the Chick-fil-A on our property, and I found out why I don't like Chick-fil-A. See, I'm not a sauce person, and Chick-fil-A, according to this guy, develops all of their recipes with the idea that our customer is going to put a sauce of some sort on this. Even their Chick-fil-A sandwiches is that, like, part of the recipe is that
you gotta have Chick-fil-A sauce on this. Yes, Chick-fil-A sauce goes with a chicken sandwich.
So to me, as someone who's not a sauce person, that's why Chick-fil-A does not impress me, because if it needs a sauce, I like sauce on my wings and stuff.
I get that,
but I'm not someone who's sitting there dipping my French fries and ketchup all the time, and needing a sauce on everything. That's not me.
Hey,
So
that's
that's
cool.
why it's not for me. But anyway, just a quick update on the great Chick-fil-A debate.
So back to the combo question: cheddar and crackers. The cheddar and pretzel is good too, but I'd rather have a cheddar and cracker. That's my favorite. So there we go.
Yeah, no, that's good too. That's why I say they're all good. I don't
They're all
know.
good. I like them.
Twizzlers is probably my main snack on the water, though.
I don't know that we've ever had a Twizzler answer. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
No,
me neither.
that's awesome. I do like Twizzlers. It's one of
You'll
those
see
things
me
where
going down the lake with one hanging out my mouth. Just
All right.
give
Well,
me
the
no
next
mind.
one. The next one I'll use Cam's intro to. We don't need GPS coordinates and we don't need your secret spots, but what's your favorite body of water to fish?
I don't know. It was Dale Hollow. Until I've really been spending some time on Gunnersville. I fished it like 4 times in the last 10 months. Probably Gunnersville.
Just a little bit of everything there.
Yeah. I like the way it sets up. It fits my style of fishing very well. I can find a lot of shallow. I'm a shallow fisherman. Now I made a pact with myself that I was going to learn to offshore fish, and I've been spending a lot of time over the last year and a half learning that. And I have active target, and I've done the whole "if you ain't scoping, you're hoping" type thing, and I feel like I've kind of done that, but it's just not as enjoyable for me. Maybe because I don't have spot lock and I'm out there trying to stay in place with a torpedo and run active target. It's just a lot going on, and maybe if I did rig my boat and have it wired for a spot lock motor that I may add to give that a fair shot. But I like shallow, man. I'm talking 8 foot or less. It can all be grass, and give me a chatterbait and a lipless, and I'll burn them all day.
Yeah, I like it. What kind of kayak you fishing on?
Native Titan X12 this year.
Oh,
I'm a native guy.
yeah, how do you like that platform?
So
And did you have the Slayer before that, Max?
I had the
Or
Titan
another
12 before. So
Titan?
I have a lot of them. I have the Slayer 10. I have the Slayer 12 and a half Max. I have the Titan 12. I have the Titan 10, and I have the Titan X12. So we're a big native family. My kids all have natives too. So my wife has a native 10, and I love the platform. So I'll give you a little rundown. I was at Kentucky Lake for the KBF Nationals 2 years ago, and that was when Nick Big Adventures had already taken over Native, but they were still putting the foam on the inside. Native was unsinkable, supposedly. My boat was acting funny. I'd make a turn with the motor and rear would just kick around, and I couldn't figure it out. And I pulled up on shore and popped the front hatch, and literally my battery was underwater. The whole thing was totally full. So I carry a hand bilge pump, and I pumped this whole thing out and went back to fishing. A few hours later, it was full again. And it's not raining. I was taking some stuff over the bow, and I was just like, that's interesting. But I fished all week, just bailing it. Figured I'd check it out when I got home. Came home, threw the water hose in the front of it, filled it up. Couldn't find. There was water like dripping from places, but I couldn't really zero in where it was coming from. And I bailed it out and went fishing one more time with my son here locally, and it filled up in like 25 minutes. And I was like, let's go back to the house and flip this thing upside down and stick a light in it. And it had a quarter-sized hole in it behind my transducer. And I don't know if it hit something, I guess, the transducer, and it busted out. Native replaced it under warranty, but yeah, it was full of water and still floated with all my gear, with me, motor, everything. And after that, I was like, you know what? But since they have quit putting the foam in them, but I just love the stability. I do give up a lot of maneuverability with that boat. But with it being a barge, when I got to tuck everything down in and kind of duck in low to go through the bushes, it handles it well. So it's tough boat. So yeah, I'm native as long as they're making them.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen his Titan X yet, but I can tell you that his Titan 12, like whenever I say it's rigged to the nines, like it's one of those setups that like you use as like this is what your kayak could be.
Yeah. This one's no different. I've upped the game a little more and added 12-inch graphs, dual graphs this year, and again it's rigged for 2 motors now, and obviously I've upgraded my carts and I'm carrying 12 rods now. Yeah, it's lit up, all the lights. That's always been my thing, is all the lights.
Yeah, I will say like that was my first like travel event, and getting to see like some of these like fully rigged out boats and everything was one thing, but then that morning when everybody got in them and turned on their lights, I was just like,
yeah. I like to light them up. I don't know. I think I've got 12 lights on this one.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's good. So on your 12-inch graph, so you have like a dashboard. So or does that interfere with your pedals?
I
Or
don't.
you have them on the side?
I've been trying to get my hands on the new native dashboard, but because I think Catch may make it. It's aluminum. And I've tried some other dashboards, but there's some track right there in the front, and I just use some ram mounts to pivot, and they lay kind of over right and side by side in front of me, and it's actually really clean that way. So I don't know that I really want to put them on a dash, just because I feel like I kind of lose. With the Torpedo, obviously you have to sit down and fish if you're moving, and then I'll stand up when I get there, but I skip a lot. And it's hard to skip if they're up very high. You find yourself hitting those graphs. So I like them being down low. I don't know if I'll put a dashboard on it.
So can you use your pedals the way you have them set up?
My pedals haven't even been put together. They're still in the box.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing too. I have a bona fide P127, and I was looking for something that you could. And I'm old. I can't see very far away. So the dashboards are too far for me because with readers on, they're too far. And when you take them off, I can't see it anyway. So, been trying to figure out how to rig something where it can be up there, but I have mine to my right.
That's how I had it for a long time, was right to my right by the seat. I would say that I can still use my pedals where they're at. I think that they're back far enough. And that was the reason I went from the 9 to the 12, was because I went from it being right here to being up there. And with the older I get, low light conditions, it seems like it's just a little tougher. And
you'll like the Spotlight to put your XI3 on the front of it, and then you can do either one. I've got mine set up for both, and there's tournaments where I like to use the NK 180, and you got some distance, value there. If you have to go a ways, I definitely am going to put that on there. And then once you get into something where you're going to be sitting somewhere or with active target like you're doing, and you need that to kind of control that. It definitely helps on those windy days if you're trying to fish a point and you want to stay in a spot and you want to make the same cast over and over. So I like having the option of doing both.
You've got some experience. I'll pick your brain on this a little bit. Mine's fully rigged out, has the plate and everything, but I haven't got the motor yet. The more research I do, the more I kind of shy back, being that a kayak just isn't as heavy as a big boat. Now, my Titan's probably close, so maybe it won't be as bad, but GPS jump. I've had some friends get tossed due to some GPS jump, and I fish out of Titan for the stability. I don't want to swim when I'm fishing.
So I know what they're talking about. It's when it's correcting, when the wind blows you off your spot and then it corrects. Um, I'm probably right now probably 250, and it you know it does move you some, but I'm not most of the time. If the wind's blowing like that, I'm not standing up anyway. Now I can spot lock when the wind's not blowing. I could stand up and fish all day if I'm flipping to something. When it's calm, it's not going to do that as much. It's only on those windy days where it'll try to correct and put you back on where the spot is. So I haven't had any issues with that, but I know what they're talking about. The only issue I've ran into is going 4.5 miles an hour and actually accidentally hitting the anchor button. And she comes to a stop pretty fast. And if you are not like, I saw it when I hit it and I knew it was coming, and I hit it again before it really like tried to stop all the way. But that would be the only thing that would kind of throw you out. I think, and your boat's heavy enough where I I think you would be fine. Now on that P127, I can't run both at the same time because it sits too low in the water. And I really don't even like to run that spot lock on that boat. I've got a SS 127 that it works a lot better on. The boat sits a lot higher up in the front for that. So sometimes if I'm going to spot lock, I'll just switch to that altogether.
You run 12 volt, 55.
So, yeah, I got a 54, got some 54 and some 60s. So I run the 260 amp for the 24 volt NK 180. I just have them ran together. And then I've got a 54 Dakota that I run for the XI3.
Nice. And that gets you all day?
All day. You probably range 13 to 14 miles, and that's usually windy, using spot lock a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. So, if I had it to do over, I'd probably go up another one to somewhere between a 60 or 100. If you 100, you're going to be more than what you need. But if you're spot locking all day, it's windy, and you want to run more than 13 miles, you need more than a 60.
Yeah, I got you.
I don't know that you're going to be using an XI3 as a machete, though.
No, it will not. Definitely if you're on a river or something like that, you're going to want that Torpedo or the NK 180.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't go
300,
to a river without my Torpedo.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust a bow mount in the river at all. But
yeah,
and I wouldn't trust it at Dale Hollow either, probably.
Yeah, if you're going if I'm going shallow with that motor on there, I'll pull it up and just paddle.
Cam, I've almost got a path cut through there, buddy. I mean, before long, Bass Boat will be able to get back through there.
We'll rebrush it. You got to rebrush it after you're done. Put some brush back in there.
Yeah, I need to keep it hidden.
Yeah.
All right. So getting back to what's your favorite lure to throw?
Buzzbait.
A buzzbait. You use the double prop buzzbait or the single?
No, it's a single. I can't say I've never seen it in store. I actually found it in a tackle shop in Alabama for the first time last month. I've never seen it in a store. I ordered this thing like 2 years ago to try it. It was something different. And there was a guy on YouTube that was using it or something, and I picked one up and took it out to my local honey hole. And the thing, that's what I was catching on Dale Hollow last year, that infamous buzzbait. The thing didn't even have any skirt left when we got done. Yeah, I'm a buzzbait guy.
Yeah, that's cool.
Heck yeah.
So what about you? Oh, go ahead. You're good.
Just as a somebody who buzzbaits are not something that I throw much, which is surprising being a power fisherman that I am. But it's just not something. Typically, whenever I'm picking up top water, I reach for the popper first, and I just leave that on all day. But what kind of reel speed are you throwing a buzzbait on?
7.3 to 1. I like this buzzbait. I'll throw it over brush, grass. It comes through all of it, and I mean, it obviously might come up over a bush or something and drop back in, but I think that's part of it, and they just come unglued on that thing. They hear that it's a pretty loud one. You can adjust the noise on this thing in
That's cool.
multiple ways, and they'll hear that loud thing coming, and it stops up over a bush and it hits that water and starts again, and they just come unglued. So
Cool.
that's
What
probably
about your favorite time of year to fish?
now post spawn and through the summer. I'm getting better in the fall. I don't know why. I just struggle. They say that in the fall they're kind of where they are in the spring. Bullcrap. I do just fine in the spring, and I struggled in the fall. But the last few years, it's been it's a learning thing. In the last fall, I actually had a very good fall, and the colder water this spring, I did that. I'm just not a cold water fisherman, though I try. I've spent many days doing monthlies in the winter trying to learn that, and I don't know. It's not my thing. I'm a hot weather post spawn through the summer. August 98 degrees doesn't matter. I'll be out there hammering them.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so let's circle back to the beginning here and see. Have you come up with a favorite scripture?
Favorite scripture.
Don't get too distracted with all the other questions.
Yeah. I don't know. And I've been asked that before, and I've never really. I don't know if I've ever really sat down and thought about what's my favorite. There's been a lot of times in my life where I don't think any one scripture's ever just fit everything in my life, or that I felt drawn to enough to say, that's it. There's so many things that I've overcome and been through with His help that it's just different tribulations, and I know that's crazy. Growing up in church, we recited a lot of scriptures, and it just, but I don't know that I ever really thought about a favorite one to say.
Well, I mean, having a revolving door of scriptures is probably in a lot of ways, better for you spiritually than having a one particular, like.
I don't want to be, I guess, just held down to that one, and I don't think people are necessarily that have a favorite. I talk to God like He's my friend, like truly. I don't know how many times a day. It's not like I just pray before bed or something. I'll be driving down the road and having a conversation, and out in the water having a conversation, and it's I just want Him to know how grateful I am and how much I trust in wherever He is taking me. And we don't have time on this show to go through, like, my life is completely turned around. It's just one of those success stories they almost write movies about, from the very rock bottom to the top.
Sounds like the follow-up show too is,
and all of it to Him, and I know that
absolutely.
Yeah. Without Him, I wouldn't be here. So He is everything, and it's weird because even at Bassmaster, like Steve was asking everybody about their sponsors, and he didn't really say anything, but I always want to thank God first, and then my wife and children, but always God first.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll for sure have to have you back on to dive in a little bit more as however deep you want to go. But yeah, we'll definitely have to have you on. I love it whenever a guest can leave us wanting more. Um, but yeah, we're gonna go ahead and start wrapping things up. What do you have coming up next for you?
So I've got tournament champions for a local Appalachian kayak anglers. It's Bass Club in Maryland. Made it into that. That's this weekend. Then after that, I got Bassmaster stop number 3 in Gunnersville coming up May 18th, I believe. Definitely going to hit that up. There's a couple local clubs I'm going to try to get into to do a couple events for them. I sponsor the championship trophies every year. So I would like to at least get a chance to maybe win one, but I need to get out there and fish and maybe do that. But just bass and running a company obviously keeps me busy. So I'm going to try to get out this weekend to the tournament champions and Gunnersville. And then I don't know, I'll turn my focus to Susquehanna when that comes, but I'm going to definitely be trying to yank some big ones for a couple monthlies, probably off of a few local lakes. And yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely. And what about socials? If our listeners want to follow your adventures and kind of keep up with what's going on.
So obviously on Facebook and Instagram, I have double accounts on both. Michael Ridenour. You can look me up on both of those that way. Or Yakfish 365. I have a Facebook and Instagram under that.
Awesome. And want to give you an open floor to shout out sponsors, supporters, anybody you want to say thank you to. Floor is yours.
Well, of course, God, for blessing me with the ability to spend these days on the water, and my wife, and she is my number one supporter, and my family, her dad, and my parents, and my aunts and uncles, like everybody's just, I mean, they call me over and over, Tournament Dave. But sponsor wise, Sportsman's Emporium in Morgantown. That's my kayak shop. It's my pro shop. It's all things Yak Attack and native or bona fide or new canoe. All things kayaks. I mean, they've got a little bit of everything. They do some rigging, and if they don't have it, they'll get it. So Sportsman's Emporium in Morgantown. Kistler rods, obviously. Trey has been very good to me. Love those rods. They're bulletproof to go where I take them. So Cortland line, Cortland Master braid. It's the only braid I put on. It's musky side really got me into that, and I started using the smaller stuff for bass and love that. And those guys have been behind me. Native Watercraft, keep making the great boats, and I think that's about it. Eastern Rental Company, but that's me. So
Biggest
awesome.
sponsor of all.
Man, Sportsman Emporium has to be like one of, if not the best names of any company we've ever had shouted out up here.
Yeah, they're awesome. They've got a Facebook page and stuff as well. They started as an archery shop and grew into a kayak shop, and the owner of that store kayak fishes, and he's very passionate about it. So it's kind of branched over to, it's just as much a kayak and fishing shop now as it is an archery shop.
That's awesome. All right, man. Well, Michael, thank you so much for coming on the show. Like we said, we're definitely going to have you back and kind of get deeper into your story and kind of catch up with you and in terms of how your tournament fishing's doing and go let Robert go down some more rabbit holes with you.
Yeah, definitely. Robert, it's good seeing you, Cam. Always a pleasure, buddy, my friend, and hopefully I'll get to see you out on the water here soon.
Absolutely, brother.
That's good. Thank you.
All right. So, Robert, what'd you think of that one, man?
Yeah, man, that's a good episode. So, nice to see those guys chasing those national trails, and it seems like he's putting the time and the effort into it, and started out just how a lot of people start out, doing monthly onlines, and then kind of moving up in local stuff, and then like, hey, I want to try out some of these national trails, and so seems like he's doing really well. Got a good story, and like I said, I would have to do another show with him and find out more of his faith journey, and maybe we'll get some more tips on the fishing side as well.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. And as always, we'll have his links in the show notes so that you can follow along with his adventures, and kind of keep up with how he's doing in bass this season, and see if he ends up doing well enough that he wants to do it again next year. So have all the faith in the world in him for sure. All right. I believe it is my turn to close this out. So let's do that. God, thank you so much for this podcast and opportunity to talk about you, to talk about fishing, and just all these different things that we love, and get to build more relationships with people who love the same things. And thank you for whoever it is that's listening to our show right now, whether it is the day it comes out, whether it's 15 years from now, whether it's 100 years from now. Thank you for them. Thank you for what you're doing in their life right now. Pray that you meet them where they are and give them what they need through this show. And pray that you continue to put on a show in and through us and in and through the listener. Thank you for Michael and what he means to so many, and what he's doing to kind of further the kingdom and to further the sport of kayak fishing. And thank you for the green and brown and all different colored fish that you give us to the opportunity to go and chase whenever we get the chance. Pray that you keep the fish hungry, and pray that you continue to bless this podcast and bless Michael, and bless the listener, and wherever they happen to be in their faith and fishing journey. We love you, and it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Y'all take care, and God bless.
All right. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Faith and Fishing podcast. Please consider supporting those that support us. Jade's Jigs lead-free finesse tackle. Use promo code FNF10 at jadesjigs.com for 10% off. Save your outdoors. Stop losing your gear. Use promo code FNFP15 at saveyouroutdoors.com for 15% off. Omnia Fishing. Check out Premium, Premium Pro, and their Ambassador program. Use promo code FNF10 for 10% off at omniafishing.com. And if it's your first order, use promo code FNF15 for 15% instead. Mr. B Lure Company. High-quality handmade baits made right here in the U.S. MrBLureCompany.com. Use promo code faithnfishn for 15% off your first purchase. Get outdoors, pedal, and paddle. Check them out at the shop in Greensboro, North Carolina, or at shopgetoutdoors.com for all your paddling and cycling needs. And Nakwa Adventure Gear, lighting, power, and all the connectors at nakwa.com. Please rate, review, subscribe on whatever app you're listening on. That's going to do it for this episode. Y'all take care, and God bless.